What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Chasing Larger Sports Stories podcast. Your hosts, Derek and Chase, with you as always, guys. Sorry, we haven't really had much of a podcast here in the last week. Our schedules are just so busy now. It's hard to ever get anything going, but we're here. We're going to have a great show for you guys, and we have to start with the biggest news of the week. And it involves the Indianapolis Colts. It was a lot going on this week for Indianapolis after getting blown out by the New England Patriots in Foxborough last Sunday. The Colts Jim Irsay rather, called it quits and decided it's time for another change. And after firing their OC the previous week, they decided to fire head coach Frank Reich on Monday. Is the first time in 25 years that Jim Irsay has fired somebody mid-season when it comes to that situation. So it's a very drastic decision indeed. And then about 4 hours later, the Colts hired former Indianapolis Colt great center Jeff Saturday to be the interim head coach for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Chase, I mean, needless to say, there's a lot of shock and awe about this situation, especially on that day, and I even said, I was talking with you guys the day after. I said, oh my gosh, guys, like when I was streaming it, we had about 10,000 people on our stream watching us react to this presser live. And then on top of it, we also had, Pat McAfee in our chat, which was hilarious. And we were just going crazy over all this news. And sure enough, I mean, I'll say this, Chase. I want to get your opinion on it because I'll talk for a minute about some of the way the people in the media are responding to this. But what was your thoughts on the Colts firing Frank Reich and then hiring Jeff Saturday?
Well, the Frank Reich issue was, something I expected. I expected them to move on from Frank Reich. The fact that they did it so early, that was a little shocking because I know that the Colts are notorious for waiting until the end of the season before they make a move at head coach and, completely do something different. But obviously Jim Irsay had something else in mind. But to hire in Jeff Saturday, it's crazy because, we've seen former players become head coaches before and, work out. Prime example of one that is panning out as a good NFL head coach that was a former player is Mike Vrabel with the Tennessee Titans. He's had a lot of success there since he's started coaching. Mm-hmm. He played in the league for years, and I think he even played a couple seasons with Tom Brady back then. So, he's played in the league before and he knows what he's doing. And Jeff Saturday, during his press conference even said, I've played with 6 Hall of Fame people. I've went to the playoffs 12 years out of the 14 that I played. It's like, I've seen greatness. I know what I'm doing. So that's the thing. Like, if he can lead these men, why does it matter if it's an outside hire that is not on the team or not? The only backlash that they're receiving is the fact that they've got so many qualified people on their coaching staff that could have taken over and they didn't. And that's what a lot of Colts fans are upset about. And a lot of people that are like, well, why not give Reggie Wayne a chance? Is Jim Irsay racist against black people? Because,
sure. The guy who hired the first black head coach to ever win a Super Bowl is racist. Yeah, that's a great argument.
Yeah, because I kept hearing that argument, and then you remember her Joy from ESPN. She was also bringing that argument in as well.
Of course, yeah, because some people just can't get past the race thing, right? Just thinking that just because you're black means that you're more qualified for the position than some other people, or it gives you a step up. I hate the argument, but finish your thing. Go ahead.
No, it's just, it baffles me because she and a whole bunch of other people that I'm hearing, because it's all over TikTok as well. They're like, so why hire a former player in Jeff Saturday when you've got a former player on your Colts coaching staff in Reggie Wayne that played the game, played with Peyton Manning, played with all these greats as well, why not give him a shot? Is this like a race thing, like that you don't want to hire somebody on the rock? I'm like, no, that's not
No.
it. Like, he has a feeling that Jeff Saturday is gonna bring culture to this Colts team that needs to be there, that hasn't been there for quite some time.
Yeah. I mean, that's the point. I mean, Reggie Wayne was already on the roster or on the coaching staff, and we're already having this issue, right, of leadership, right? You need somebody different. I mean, here's the problem. The problem with people saying it is the fact that they say he's not qualified. Okay, fine. He doesn't have any coaching experience. I get it. That's fine. You can make that argument. That's valid. I don't care. But the funny thing is like, I hate to bring up your guy, Joe Thomas. I'm sure you probably saw that clip from yesterday. He was on the NFL Network, and he basically called Jeff Saturday Jim Irsay's drinking buddy. Like, that is insanely disrespectful by Joe Thomas. And he also said that this is one of the most embarrassing moves that's ever happened from the perspective of not just the Colts, but the NFL in general, to allow this to happen. And I was like, that's real rich coming from a guy who just left an organization that just picked up Deshaun Watson the way that they did. I'm just saying that's pretty ironic that he would say that on top of anything. And then, everyone always brings up Joe's record. Like, yeah, you went 1-31 in your last 2 seasons. Like, you have any idea of what it's like to actually play in the circumstances that Jeff Saturday has seen and understood, right? But the problem is we're in this argument where we're trying to not only belittle Jim Irsay and the Colts, but people are taking it a step further, Chase. They're trying to belittle Jeff Saturday and say he should have morally and ethically declined the job. Just because, like, he should have morally looked himself in the mirror and said, I don't deserve this job. I should not take it. And it's hilarious.
No,
who
says that? Like, this is what you fight for. This is what you want to do.
Right. And listen, 95% of America is going to take a job that they don't think they're quite qualified for if they are asked to do it. Listen, if you want to do the job and you may not be qualified for it, so what? You go and attempt it and you figure out if you're actually qualified for it or not. That's the point of coaching. Brandon Marshall brought this up on Kay Adams' show yesterday. And I thought it was a great thing here, Chase, and it puts it into perspective. People keep saying, that he has no coaching experience. Well, listen to this. Josh McDaniels, who, by the way, was in the running for coaching for the Colts back in 2018. The Colts had, Josh McDaniels is what, 2-6 now with the Raiders, right? The team doesn't look good at all, right? He has all the experience in the world, and they keep losing. Why? Because he doesn't know how to lead men. He doesn't know how to lead a locker room that way. Jeff Saturday may not have the experience of Josh McDaniels, but just because you have experience doesn't mean you're more qualified to be a head coach than anyone else. Ultimately, the best things you need as a head coach is to be able to lead the locker room, lead the men, understand, and keep everything intact. If you can get some coordinators around Jeff Saturday that know what they're doing, know how to get an offense go. And also, by the way, Jeff Saturday, as a former center, he understands how the game works, dude. Centers have to be really freaking smart in the NFL. They have to understand blocking assignments, blocking formations, and understand how to read a defense when they're blitzing, has to have good communication with their quarterback, know how the plays are being run. Like, they're smart. They're like second OCs out there on the field. And especially Jeff Saturday, who's one of probably the best center to ever play the game of football. Like, that doesn't that means that you understand the game. That's what I think a lot of people are forgetting. They act as if coaching experience is the only thing that matters to understanding how a game works. That's not true. You played in the NFL for 15 years. You clearly understand how the game works, especially at that position. And I think Joe Thomas even went as far as to say he gave a very drastic example of a former coach of his that said like he met his kids like once or twice a week, that because of, how dedicated he was to the job or whatever. And like, I don't know if Jeff Saturday has any kids or not. I'm not 100% sure on his life like that. But I mean, it was funny because Tony Dungy then clapped back, Chase, and he said, listen, I was a head coach for a long time, Joe. Me and Jim saw our kids more than once a week. Okay. Just because you're dedicated to the job, it takes a lot of commitment, but you don't have to overcommit to the job like that. That is a wildly drastic example. Another way that the media is trying to spin this as a terrible decision by the Colts and a morally wrong decision by Jeff Saturday. Me personally, Chase, I'm just kind of over it. Hearing these people talk about it. Me personally, Chase, and let me throw this at you real quick. Do you think that these people are acting like this more because they think he's going to fail, or on the off chance that he succeeds, they're trying to break him down because they're afraid that it may actually work for Indianapolis?
Well, you have all these people out there that always claim that they know what they're talking about when like they're like, oh, I do research, I watch the games and everything, but like you don't look into the bigger picture when it comes to looking at things. You just see what's on the surface and you go along with the crowd. Me and you as fans of the game, we actually analyze the situation and look further into it and, think about what's going on. In Jim Irsay's head, he's thinking one of two things. He's thinking, okay, I hire in Jeff Saturday, it's not going to make me look bad if he fails because, obviously he's an outside hire. It's not going to, if he fails, that's okay because, he's never really coached before. And now we've got a high draft pick. On the other hand, Jim Irsay is thinking, I hire in Jeff Saturday. He leads us to 5 out of the last 8 wins, gets us to a positive record. And then it's like, wow. Everybody in the national media is like, look at this Jeff Saturday guy. What the hell was Jim Irsay thinking? Like, this is a good move. It, gives a positive perspective on them. It's either a 50-50 shot with what Jim was thinking, or maybe he's thinking he's a guy that can bring this locker room together, get the leadership that we need, and keep them gelling so that way this team doesn't get torn apart. And then, hire him in as a full-time head coach during the offseason, or go a different route with maybe, Byron Leftwich, a Brian Flores, something like that. Whatever you guys feel. But the national media just loves to talk about it. People love to spit arguments, and people love to claim that they know what they're talking about when they don't look at the bigger picture here. And I think that the Jeff Saturday hire, yes, it was out of the ordinary. Yes, I was shocked about it. And I was like, who the hell is this guy coming in being a coach that has never coached before?
Yeah, I was the same way, dude. I was like, what?
But then again, like, you got to start somewhere in your coaching career. Like, not many people usually start their NFL coaching job as, a head coach right away. And most of them work their way up from college or become coordinators. But you know what? To each their own. But like, I think that the way Jim Irsay is thinking, he's thinking one of two things. He's like, if he fails, it doesn't make me look bad. If he succeeds, it makes me look good. Either he's got either sides of the coin here, Derek, and he could play out whichever one he wants. And
have you seen the clip from Jeff Saturday's presser? Have you seen it? Yeah, for anyone that hasn't seen it, let's rewatch it and just like, you can tell me if you think this guy doesn't know how to lead people or not.
Here's the deal. Everybody talks about I'm completely comfortable in who I am as a man, bro. I know I can lead men. I know the game of football, and I'm passionate about it. I have no fear about, are you as qualified as somebody else? Bro, I spent 14 years in a locker room. I went to playoffs 12 times. I got 5 dudes in the Hall of Fame that I play with. You don't think I've seen greatness? You don't think I've seen how people prepare, how they coach, how they GM, how they work? I mean, won Super Bowls, been to 2. Like, here's the deal, man. None of us are promised a good job. I may be terrible at this. And after 8 games, I'll say, God bless you. I am no good. I may be really good at it. I got no idea, but I dang sure ain't going to back down. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And that's the guy that I'm thinking, Derek, like, if he came into a press conference, you know, nothing to lose, and you don't know what to expect, and I saw that, I'd be like, damn, I want to go play for this guy.
Yeah, I would want to play for that guy. Of course I would. I mean, and the funny thing is, I think that was after a question of somebody asked him, like, are you as qualified as the next guy? Right. I think one of the Colts media people asked him that, and, that was his response. And, I love it. And I thought it was funny too. I don't know. I think it was Golden Tate that was on ESPN the other day, or CBS or something, and said that if he was on the Colts and that move was announced, he's like, man, get me a trade up out of here. Like, I wouldn't even do that shit. I'm like, that's real grand there, dude, and probably explains why you're not on a team now. It's hilarious. Like, the amount of people that are overreacting to this sort of situation. It's crazy. Of course, at the end of the day, it's going to be all about, what does Jeff Saturday do? And I think the problem is you have this situation where it's one of those situations where he's just an interim head coach, just an interim. He's not going to be the head coach of the future. That's not there. He's doing this for 8 games. And then when those 8 games are over, then everyone's going to go through the process. They're going to interview every single person that they can to get the best person on the field as possible. And I don't see a problem with it. I really don't.
And Derek, I think that the only, depending on who they hire, like they interview and everything, but I think there's a couple candidates that are like extremely qualified and that would fit this team extremely well, that could come in and take over Jeff Saturday. And one of those guys, I know that Josh has been talking about wanting him. I don't know how you feel about it, but that is Brian Flores.
I don't mind Brian Flores. I mean, we saw, the guy that he is when it comes to the Miami Dolphins. I mean, that team loved playing for him.
They loved playing for him.
The problem is he got blackballed by the Dolphins.
Yeah. No, he had winning records with them every year that he was there. He went 9-8 for 2 years in a row, and even started off 1-7, and then still rattled off so many straight wins. And
then went on 8-game winning streak to come back. Yeah, I mean, I could have only imagined if they tried to, if they had the team they had now with him. I mean, I think they'd have practically the same record. I mean, I like Flores. We'll see how that goes, though. It'll be very interesting. But all right, well, and I never even talked about the Frank Reich thing. I mean, like you said, it was expected. You and I talked about it for weeks, about how we expected Frank Reich to be gone at some point. Just still was shocked that it actually happened mid-season. So very strange.
For you, Derek, I've seen this going around the national media, and I don't know. After seeing it, the argument's kind of like, I understand the argument, but it also made me look at a different way, because when his first year that he was the Indianapolis Colts head coach, Andrew Luck was his quarterback, and he got to play and with Andrew, and everybody was like, was Frank Reich a good head coach, or did Andrew Luck make him look good?
I think Frank Reich definitely is a good coach. I just don't know, like, when it comes to, I think he's too much of the self-blame kind of guy. Whenever there's an issue going on with this Colts team, like, we clearly know the offensive line is atrocious. It is bad. But yet he never blames the O-line for why things are going wrong. He says, it's all on me. Like, no, it's not all you, Frank. Say it out loud. Say the O-line's not been good. We need to figure it out. We need to get them to where they are doing better because they're giving up 4 sacks a game. You can't blame all of yourself on that. But, of course, you can do that when you decide that it's the right idea to put Matt Pryor at right guard when you clearly knew it was wrong in the first place. So, and people use that argument against him, right? That say that, like, he shouldn't have been fired because he's never had a good carousel of quarterbacks to begin with. Look, I understand Andrew Luck sending you back is a huge issue. That's a huge issue. But, they had Phillip Rivers in 2020
and did great.
They went 11-5. They went on and they won a lot of games. They went to the playoffs. They almost beat the Bills. So you had a shot there. You felt good about yourself going forward. And then in 2021, you, Frank Reich, told Chris Ballard, bring Carson Wentz. I will get the best of him. That was a Frank Reich move of anything, dude, because Ballard wanted to trade up and go get a quarterback in that draft. But Frank Reich said, give me Wentz. I promise you it'll work. And sure enough, we saw what happened. He completely gave up on Carson Wentz late in the year. And then all of a sudden now with Matt Ryan in the building, you can't protect him long enough to even let him do anything. So, Frank Reich's hands were not completely clean in this quarterback carousel. He's just as much to blame for what is going on right now over the last 3 years as to what is Ballard right now.
That was in 2020 when you guys got Wentz?
No, 2021.
Oh, I was going to say, You guys could have easily traded up in 2020 and got Justin Herbert.
No, that would have been, that was 2020. You're right. If we hadn't traded away the first rounder for DeForest Buckner.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, we traded. We were the 13th pick there. Would have been insanely difficult to get into the top 5 though, because there were 3 teams in there that really wanted a quarterback, and obviously number 6, the Chargers, were really wanting a quarterback. So it would have been very hard to sneak your way into that one when, there was Joe Burrow, there was Tua Tagovailoa, there was Justin Herbert, that sort of thing. So it was it would have been very difficult to sneak into the top 5 to get someone there.
Yeah. And, moving on, Derek, we have a great core piece to your defense, and probably the leader on that defensive side of the ball has now hit IR with a lingering back issue in Shaquille Leonard. Now, obviously, Shaquille Leonard has made a name for himself as one of the best linebackers in the league, if not the best in the league. And not having him on the team is going to be a big blow for the rest of the season. Your offensive line play has been, dog water. Your defensive play on the field has been dog water. And I think that this team was falling apart under Frank Reich and losing their way. And I think that Jeff Saturday has a way of bringing them back and playing together and getting this defense back on track. Because before the season started, Derek, I had you guys as a top 10 ranked defense with how well you guys played towards the end of the season last year and how well that the Colts team looked. It's just the offensive side of the ball was not good. But missing Shaquille Leonard in that middle of the defense, how crucial is that?
Well, I do want to correct you. Statistically, right now, the Colts defense is a top 10 defense right now. They're actually top 10 in stopping the pass and top 15 in total rushing. Right now, they're the 9th best defense in the NFL in total yardage stops. So right now, even despite the fact that Leonard has only played limited snaps in 3 games this year, they're still doing that in spite of him. And so this defense for the Colts right now, yes, of course, it's a loss to have Leonard not be in there because of, the player that he could be, right? But this defense has still been good without him. And because they're 2 linebackers, Zaire Franklin and Bobby Okereke, both are top 10 in the NFL in total tackles this year. So they are doing a fantastic job of making plays. The defensive line starting to come on a little stronger. So this defense is a defense, even without Leonard, is a defense you can go and win a championship with. It's just like you said, the offense is so atrocious right now. I can't even begin to tell you just how bad they are. But yeah, Leonard's injury, yeah, he had a setback on Wednesday. Felt good after the game on Sunday. Came back to practice on Wednesday and said his back didn't feel good. And he was getting more tests, and he had back surgery in, I think it was June of this year, because what was going on with his ankle injury from before. He had a lingering ankle injury that was really affecting him, and they found out it was a pinched nerve in his back that was causing that pain to shoot all the way down to his ankle. So they fixed it, and then obviously now he's having further complications with that. That's very concerning about the long-term health of Shaquille Leonard. Me personally, I think they need to shut him down for the rest of the year. I think they will. Obviously, like you said, he's going to be out for at least the next 4 games, so halfway through the rest of the season. But me personally, I think he needs to be sat out for the whole year. There is no point to bringing out a franchise guy like that on a losing season when it just doesn't matter. I know that Leonard wants to be out there. He wants to play, and I get that. But thinking about the longevity of Shaquille Leonard, which might already be in question, it's not a good idea to throw him back out there and further risk complicating it if he is not 100% and you guarantee he is okay. Because, they brushed him back already and, put him on limited snaps, and he's already having these issues, right? So me personally, I think it's a smart idea for the Colts to just call it a season with him, allow him to regain his strength over the offseason, get better physically and mentally, and be able to come back out in 2023 with a new, fresh set of legs and back and feel much better about himself. I don't think that the loss of this is really as drastic as some people think it is, with how Leonard has looked even when he seemed to be healthy. He really wasn't doing a whole lot more for this defense than what it already is. But yeah, it obviously sucks. You don't want to see the best linebacker in the NFL, a guy that can change the game at any moment, sit out like that with that kind of injury. So hoping he'll be back next year and back being the normal maniac that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I want to say this before I move on. A lot of people have really pissed me off when it comes to him recently because, I don't know if you've seen anything, but I've seen a lot of people talk down to Shaquille Leonard, talking about how, he's weak-minded. He just, doesn't want to be out there because the Colts have a losing season.
Who have never been in that situation before.
Yeah, they're like, he doesn't want to be out there because he's, in a losing season and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, he's weak. I'm like, dude, this is a back injury, something that can severely paralyze you and keep you out from the game that you love. And not only the game of football, just keep you out in life. You won't be able to.
My dad had a freaking slip disc one time in his back. They had to literally remove the disc from his back and fix his back. For 6 months, that guy could barely stand up. Barely. I mean, it took a long time to get him to, be able to be back to just doing normal things and be able to even move normally, right? And even nowadays, I mean, it's still an issue for him. I mean, it has limited his mobility a little bit. Now, it may not, obviously a pinched nerve is not quite as bad as an entire back plate being an issue, but it is something that if it's not taken care of and it progresses, you're right. It's something that can seriously limit him for the rest of his life. And, he's got a family, he's got a family to take care of. That's not something that you just take lightly.
Yeah. Forget all the people that are saying he's not, or he's not helping the team and blah, 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 and doing this and no, he is a father and a son and everything first in life before a football player. If his health is more important, then so be it. I would much rather see a guy set out the entire season and come back healthy and completely healed the next season to be able to play, rather than trying to risk getting paralyzed halfway through the season and being out, not just of football, but not being your kid's life and be able to like dance with them at their wedding. Like that's very sad that people go to such extreme lengths to degrade a player.
Yeah, it's, believe me, as somebody who is, at this point, one of those guys that's involved in some of the media when it comes to the Colts and being on Colts Twitter all the time, believe me, I see so much of it. The people who say he's weak-minded, the people say he's just chasing the money, the people who say he's just never going to be a good player again and we should trade him. I see it so much, dude, and it angers me, because I may potentially agree with some people when it comes to the future of Shaquille Leonard, but I don't go that far as to, be that extreme. But at the end of the day, man, yeah, it sucks for Shaquille, man, because, he had that ankle injury, Chase, for like almost 3 years now. He's had it for almost 3 years. He's been dealing with ankle pain and still was able to play the way that he did. And then we thought this offseason, oh man, he's gonna fix that issue. He's gonna be 100% again. Let's go. And sure enough, we're here again. So it's one of those scenarios. I hope that and he also sent out a apology on Instagram, which is weird because it's like, dude, why are you apologizing? You don't need to apologize to anyone. You don't need to apologize to anyone, dude. That's the smart thing for you to do, is say, I mean, if you want to say, sorry, I can't be out there, guys, it's really unfortunate. I get that, but it almost felt like he was trying to reach more sympathy from people because he knew how people would take this reaction because, he's a staple of this organization, man. I mean, he is one of the best players in this organization. He's the best at what he does. I mean, I just feel for him, dude. I hope that my best scenario is I hope they shut him down for the year, allow him to recover with this back, and then hopefully next season when he has actually like 6 to 7 months to actually just focus on working on that back, then he'll feel 100% better again and he won't need to worry about it complicating again.
Yeah, that's for sure. So moving on, we're gonna go over a couple other injuries that have occurred over the last week or so, and one key piece that is back to their team is T.J. Watt is expected to play this week for the Pittsburgh Steelers after being off for so many weeks with that partially torn pec. And Derek, this is a much needed upgrade to their defense that they've been waiting for a long time.
Oh yeah,
and obviously we've seen the stats and seen the record of what the Steelers record is with him and without him. And having him back is going to be a huge key factor to whether or not they win.
Oh, 100%. I mean, who'd think, maybe if the Steelers would have had him the whole time, he accounts for so many wins that we just honestly half the time don't even remember because that's just how dominant he is. Him, Myles Garrett, and Aaron Donald, they affect the game in ways that we just wish we could understand. And they account for so much on their defenses. And TJ Watt's impact from the Steelers, it's clear how much they missed him because, not only is the offense not really done much for them, their defense has struggled drastically with not getting any kind of attention from TJ Watt. So how great it will be for Pittsburgh to have TJ Watt back on the field for them. I mean, it's such a huge confidence booster. I fully expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to start winning a bunch of games now, Chase. I mean, that's how drastic I think this is going to be. And I'm saying that also for the fact that I think in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, the Colts are going to be playing the Steelers. And that's a very scary thing for me because TJ Watt is a menace, and our O line might give him 5 sacks in that game, to be honest with you.
Please don't, because
Dude, he might though.
Please don't, because I do not want that fuel fire.
He's going to take on a rookie left tackle in Bernard Ryman, who in the first half alone in games has been averaging giving up 1.5 sacks in each game. So
please don't, because I really don't want them to fuel that fire of like TJ Watt's really good and better than Myles Garrett and blah blah blah.
Listen. I don't care what any of them say. You and I can sit here and we can say whatever we want. Okay, he might be the better pass rush specialist, but he definitely is not the more complete defensive lineman. Okay, but when it comes to, I mean, I'm happy for TJ. Glad that he's finally coming back at around the threshold that they said they wanted. I know a lot of people were hoping he would have been back by week 7 because I know the original diagnosis was that he may only be out for like 6 weeks. But hey, 8 weeks for an injury that he had that was pretty severe. It's very impressive. So yeah, it'll be good for Pittsburgh to finally get him back.
Yeah, and I can just see it now. If Pittsburgh, or like if he gets, 14 sacks by the end of the season, everybody's going to be like, well, he missed half the season. Just imagine what it would be like if he had the full season. I'm like, you also don't realize who's on his defensive line and on his defense to help him out. Like, that's a big, big key piece. Anyway, I digress. So more injury concerns that we are facing is we got David Njoku and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out for the Cleveland Browns this week. David Njoku suffered a high ankle sprain in the week when they were playing the Ravens, I believe, it was the Ravens game that he suffered that ankle injury, and he wanted to come back, but they wanted to not risk it and have him go for the Bengals game or after the bye week. So they're expecting him back either next week or the week that we play the Buccaneers, which I would much rather have him fully healthy to contribute and be ready for when Watson comes back. So that way, he can make a big impact play. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is one of the great upcoming linebackers in the league. He finished second in the league last year when in total, like voting for rookie linebackers, according to Pro Football Focus. And he actually, if he had not gotten injured for 4 games with a high ankle sprain, he would have been on par with Micah Parsons to potentially overthrow him for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Other injury concerns is Keenan Allen is still out with the lingering hamstring issue, and Mike Williams is out with the high ankle sprain. So Justin Herbert's 2 top targets are still out for this week. We have Matthew Stafford in the concussion protocol, will not go for the Rams this week. Josh Allen injured his elbow in the Jets game and has a sprained UCL injury, and it's not torn yet. If it does end up getting torn, he will be out for a year or more.
Do you think they should decide to put him down for a week to make sure that he's okay? Because me personally, I think that's a huge risk.
They're already talking about not having him play this week and whatnot. And
I understand the division is on the line, but if holding him out for 1 extra week makes it to where you feel more comfortable with him going forward, then I think that there's still not a chance that you guys lose out on the playoffs. So
yeah, because this Bills team runs through Buffalo. Bills team runs through Josh Allen, and you need him healthy. So yeah, no, I think that they should sit him this week and possibly even next week versus Cleveland. I don't think that you're going to lose out on a massive playoff spot, like you said. I still think the Bills are a talented enough team to where they can rattle off another few wins. But yeah, Josh Allen avoids major UCL tear. If he ends up tearing it, he will have to require Tommy John surgery, and he will be out a year to 18 months of recovery time is what they expect that to be. And you also have Jamar Chase, who is still out for the Cincinnati Bengals for the next 3 weeks as well. And those are some notable injuries that we are facing across the NFL today. Hopefully some teams will get their guys back here soon. And moving on, we got OBJ, a free agent wide receiver who is still really talented in his young age. He's 28 years old, still a pretty decently young guy, and still very, very talented. You know, a lot of people don't realize how much of an impact he had on that Rams team for the final 4 games of the season, and how much of an impact he had in the Super Bowl when he actually made it there. You know, it was huge for them. And Derek, we are seeing 5 teams that are in the running for OBJ. A lot more teams have called, but he's narrowed it down to 5 teams: the Packers, Bills, Rams, Chiefs, and Cowboys. What's your thoughts on this, and which team do you think he should go to or choose?
I don't know, man. I think he probably ends up with either the Bills or the Chiefs. That's me personally, because I think those are 2 teams that give you the best chance right now to take the high road. Now, if he goes to the Packers, then it's going to be obviously it's going to be the money. That's the big question there. And then obviously the Rams, because of the familiarity with Matt Stafford and Sean McVay. Cowboys, I know that he's been getting madly recruited by a lot of the Cowboys players. Micah Parsons has definitely been a helpful piece to that. But I think he goes to the Bills and the Chiefs because he's looking for those chances to, like you said, be a guy that, you know, wins in a system, right? I think he's tired of being the number 1 guy and wants to just be a part of the team that has a winning culture. And those 2 right there clearly have it right now.
Yeah. I know that there's been talks with OBJ and like him coming back to Cleveland this offseason if he becomes a free agent, and he has not shut down the idea. You know, now that they got a new quarterback, he'd be in a system that he's familiar with, a team that he's familiar with. He has not shut down the idea. He even told somebody on one of the recent podcasts, he's just like, I wouldn't mind having Deshaun Watson throw me the ball. So he's like, Cleveland's not out of the question, but he's just like, I want to go where, you know, I have the best chance of winning. And I think that he's going to look at very carefully and monitor this Josh Allen situation over the next couple weeks, because if Josh Allen does end up tearing his UCL or has to leave for the rest of the season, I think that's going to be a crucial factor in whether or not he chooses the Bills, because if he doesn't have Josh Allen throwing him the ball, he's going to be like, I'm out. I'm heading to Kansas City where I got Patrick Mahomes throwing me the ball.
So, yeah, totally agree.
We'll have to wait and see. But the moment of truth has come, Derek. It is halfway through the NFL season, or, you know, almost halfway. And we are now seeing the playoff picture starting to come together. Obviously, there's still a lot of teams in the hunt, a lot of teams in contention, and anything could happen towards the end of the season. We have seen teams in the past rattle off so many straight wins to end the season and squeak in. We have seen teams that have fallen off to where they've gone from the number 1 seed down to the number 6 seed, and we have seen teams overtake their division. The NFL is unpredictable when it comes down to it towards the end. But right now we are going to take a look at the current AFC and NFC playoff pictures and see where they are at. So the current AFC playoff picture sits at, see. Okay, so right now
we got the NFC.
Huh?
You say AFC or NFC?
AFC.
AFC, so yeah. Bills
so
number
now,
1.
We got the Bills at the current number 1 seed in the NFL, and then the Chiefs are second, with the Ravens got the 3rd seed, Titans in the 4th seed. Jets have the 5th seed for the first wild card spot. The Dolphins have the 6th seed with the second wild card spot, and the last wild card spot and the 7th seed round out with the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, obviously, everybody in the AFC is still in the playoff hunt, but I think within the next coming weeks, Derek, we're going to see quite a few teams eliminated from the playoff contention. Right now, the top 4 teams is all we're going to focus on for each conference, so the NFC and AFC. Right now, the Patriots have that 8th seed. They have the next best record to, make it to the playoffs. Then you got the Bengals sitting at the 9th seed at 5-4, the Colts at 3-5-1, and the Browns at the 11th seed with 3-5 record. Now, obviously, we play the Dolphins this week. Tomorrow, it's going to be a huge game. We got to win that one if we expect our playoff hopes to be alive and expect us to have the leg up on them in the playoff contention. Because obviously the Jets beat us, the Chargers beat us, which both games we should have won, but, we didn't, so I digress. But Derek, out of these teams that are in the AFC playoffs right now, and the teams that are in the hunt, how do you see the final playoff picture playing out?
Well, I mean, obviously through the top 4 right here, I think the only team that we have to question on whether or not they're going to keep their spot at the division winners right now is the Baltimore Ravens. The only one that I question, because the Bengals at 5-4, they're sneaking up. They're there. They're right behind them. But other than that, I think
the Browns as well. They lost by a field goal last time they played.
I truthfully don't think the Browns have a shot anymore. They're already 1.5 games behind it. And unless they go on a massive win streak, they're gonna need to win. They're gonna have to win 7 of their last 8 in order to have a chance. It's the only way that I see it, and I just don't think that your team's built for that right now.
I mean, we do have Watson coming back with the Texans game, and then after that, we've got the Bengals, Ravens, like back-to-back, Bengals and Ravens, and those are going to be 2 key games right there. If we can beat both of them, that'll give us another leg up on the division, and then we've got to win out the rest of the season in order for us to have a chance.
I just don't see it unless you guys go ham. I just don't think there's a way that they make it back in there just because of how big of a hole they already have. But we'll see. And then I guess the only other one that I could also mention is the Bills. It really just depends on Josh Allen's health going forward. Don't think it's going to be a huge issue. But then again, I mean, like you said, if they lose to the Vikings this week, then, if the Chiefs beat the Jags, then the Bills will forfeit that number 1 spot and they'll end up being the number 2. So just flip-flop between the Chiefs and the Bills right now. But I mean, I'm thoroughly impressed with the Jets. They're going to be on bye this week. So actually, if the Bills do lose,
the Jets are in first place,
then the Jets would be in second place. Yeah. Which would be truly insane. And they would jump the Bills for the division lead. And then the crazy part is the freaking Dolphins, man. If the Dolphins win, ironically enough, if the Dolphins beat the Browns this week, then they would actually be ahead and would actually be number 1 or number 2, actually.
Because number 2, the Jets beat them head-to-head.
They beat the Bills head-to-head.
And they beat the Dolphins head-to-head, too.
You talk about the Jets?
Yeah, the Jets beat the Dolphins as well.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the Jets would still be ahead. No, they wouldn't because they'd have one less win.
That's right, because they're on a bye.
Yeah, so the Dolphins haven't had their bye yet. So, but, yeah, I mean, so needless to say, the AFC East is going to be very fun to watch with the playoff picture going forward. You got 3 AFC East teams, and potentially you could have a 4th with the Patriots. The Patriots still are right on the cusp. It's insane, dude. It's truly incredible how good the AFC East is. We thought the AFC West was going to control this conference this year, dude. No, it's been the AFC East so far all year.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And looking at the teams that are in the hunt, I'd say I'm not being biased when I say this, but I think that the Browns are truly a team that is built to make a run, and a team that we're a couple plays here and there from being, instead of being 3-5, they should be 5-3. And, I blame our kicker for one of them, and I blame our defense for another. The Chargers and Jets game are 2 lingering games that we should have easily won and, been a part of, playoff contention and playoff. But Derek, tomorrow's game is a big crucial piece for us, okay? Because we've got to beat the Miami Dolphins in order to make some noise in this playoff hunt and keep our playoff hopes alive, because we've got 3 weeks before Deshaun Watson returns to the field, and we got to see what he can do. If we can end up beating the Dolphins tomorrow, and then we play the Bills and the Bucks, and then Watson comes back for the Texans, we've got to win we got to win at least 2 out of these next 3 to have a chance. And looking at our roster, looking at how things are, looking at how they played against the Bengals, if they can play that way tomorrow, we absolutely have a shot. But if we lose to the Dolphins, no, our chances, we can kiss that goodbye for the rest of the season. Yeah, absolutely. Now, needless to say, I do think that the Chargers hold their own destiny. If they can win out, they got the last spot on lock. But get this, Derek, if the Patriots win this week and the Chargers lose, we have 4 AFC East teams in the playoffs. 4. And they're controlling the bottom 3 wild card spots. Like, yeah,
you got
they're controlling the bottom
AFC
3
East teams in the wild card, with a third one as the first team to go in if somebody loses. So truly incredible, to say the least.
It really is. And like that would be the first time in NFL history that we have seen, a conference or like a division have every single player or every single team in the playoffs. And the Patriots are on a bye this week, aren't they?
Yes, they are on a bye this week.
So, if the Chargers lose, I think the Patriots are still up in there for
I think if the Chargers lose, I believe so.
Yeah, they're in there automatically, but then you got the Bengals that you got to compete with. They're on a bye this week. The Colts, it really
don't even mention it.
Yeah, I'm not even going to mention it.
Don't even mention their name.
But no, like the looking at the 3 teams that are in the hunt, the Patriots, Bengals, Colts, and Browns, I think that the Browns, their only chance is if they can beat the Dolphins tomorrow, they have a shot. If they don't, then their season's done. Looking at the NFC playoff picture now, obviously we've got the number 1 seed locked away right now at this moment in time, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. And they control their own destiny, Derek, because the Dallas Cowboys are 6-2 in their division. The Giants are 6-2 in their division. Even if the Eagles lose 1 game, they're still ahead in their division because the Cowboys and Giants have both lost 2. But looking at the playoff picture, you got the Vikings at the 2 seed. The Seahawks, the Seattle Seahawks, led by Geno Smith, are 6-3, first place in their division, and are at the 3 seed. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at the 4 seed. Cowboys are at the 5 seed. Giants are at the 6 seed. The Niners are at the 7th seed. And then rounding out the top 4 teams that are in the hunt for that last wild card spot, Washington Commies, the Atlanta Falcons, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Green Bay Packers. Now, Derek, obviously, when looking at the NFC playoff picture, what stands out to you the most, and what is the most shocking to you out of this?
Well, the one thing to see just how trash the NFC North is. The Vikings at 7-1, but yet, the next best team for them is the Green Bay Packers, sitting at 3-6. That's how bad that is. And then you have another situation of the NFC East. So the AFC East and the NFC East are dominating their conferences this year. Eagles number 1, sitting at number 1. Cowboys and Giants at 5 and 6. The 2 best wild card spots are all in the same division. And then Washington at the 8th spot. It's literally exactly the same. The only thing that sucks for Washington, though, is the fact that they are playing the Eagles this week. So that's unfortunate. But the good thing for them, though, is even if they lose to the Eagles, the Falcons already lost to the Panthers, and the Rams are already at 3-5. So even if the Rams beat the Cardinals, they'd still be down. So Washington would still be right there in the mix for the bubble if they were to lose this game against the Eagles. I mean, it's truly crazy that that's the situation. And of course, who would have thought that the Seahawks were going to be leading the NFC West, right? When we started the season, right? I mean, like, truly insane. I mean, the Rams have not looked good at all since their Super Bowl run. And then you have the 49ers who are trying to get back into the frame of things. They had a bunch of injuries early on in the year, and they're trying to figure it out. And then obviously the Cardinals are crap. They're just not good. Their relationship between their quarterback and their star wide receiver is falling apart each week more and more. But I mean, it's also hilarious that the Buccaneers are 4-5 and they're leading their division. I mean, that's truly insane. It's crazy because it's like, yeah, they're 4-5 and they're the number 4 seed. Like, that's so stupid.
I know. It's
Magnolia.
No, it really is. And then like you said, nobody expected the Seahawks to be in first place in their division by the time the season started. Everybody predicted them to have a top 5 pick, and obviously they have 2 first rounders this year because of the Broncos pick. So you know, there's that. But like looking at this record, Derek, we could see the Chargers fall this week and the Patriots automatically go to that 7th seed because they are playing the Niners. I don't see the Chargers beating the Niners this week because without Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, having Rashawn Slater gone on the left side of the line, Nick Bosa is going to have a field day in the backfield. And they're going to be getting pressure on Justin Herbert all game long. And Christian McCaffrey is going to go off because the Chargers rush defense is garbage. So I could see that scenario play out right now where the Patriots jump up to that 7th seed and we see 4 teams from the AFC East all in the playoffs at this point in time.
Yep. I totally agree with you, man. It's quite possible.
That is insane. The only way that it would change is honestly if the Bengals were playing this week and they would win, but they're on a bye week as well. And, you know, if the Browns somehow beat the Dolphins and everything, then the Chargers are still, I think, no, they are not, because the Dolphins still have that extra win over them. Obviously, what it would go down to is the Dolphins would still stay at that 6th seed and the Patriots would bump up to the 7th seed, and you know the Browns would bump up from being at the 11th seed up ahead of the Colts at the 10th seed, and so on and so forth. Now, obviously, we would have to win against Buffalo the following week and have the Bengals lose in order for us to surpass them because we have that tiebreaker versus the Bengals. On the NFC side, the Falcons control their own destiny because with the Bucs, their record is 4-5, and the Falcons' record is at 4-6. You got the Falcons and Bucs at the top, like neck and neck.
I think if those refs hadn't screwed the Falcons out of that Bucs game, Falcons would be in the 4th spot right now.
They would be. They absolutely would be. And that's what's kind of like crazy because this Falcons team is a scrappy bunch. They're better than what everybody expected them, including me. I did not expect them to be this good, but they are better than everybody expected. And
yeah, I think a lot of people thought they might be the number 1 overall pick this next draft.
Yeah, and that is absolutely insane. And with the Washington Commies, I think that the quarterback play from Taylor Heineke has not been great, but he has done enough to get them winning games. And I truly want to see what Sam Howell has to offer, but obviously they're just letting him sit this year, and they're gonna let it pan out to see how he plays and see if they want to play him next year going forward. But Derek, I think it's not looking good for the Rams. I don't see anything good happening. I don't see the Packers or the Saints coming up either. So
the Rams are the same thing as the Colts right now.
Yeah. So realistically, the top 2 teams in the hunt, the Commies and the Falcons, are the ones that are going to be battling it out for that 7th seed there. So that's the NFC and AFC playoff pictures that we see going forward. Derek, do you have any predictions by the end of the season, like for the final seeding of everything?
Man, I don't. Not right now, but I'm get back to me in a week or two and we'll see how it shifts up and then I'll let you know.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Now, the last thing that we are doing to end this show today is our predictions for the week.
Predictions.
Now,
I have a 6-win lead over Chase right now.
now, obviously, before we started, I asked you who you picked for the Thursday night game.
Yeah, but I didn't know though. Like I wouldn't have known though.
I chose the Panthers. You chose the Falcons. So, and I do have some proof to back that up for me because here is Thursday at 6 p.m. You know, I chose. I was going through, and right there at the top, you see the Panthers. I chose them right before the game started. So there is my pick for the Thursday night game.
Okay, give me a second. All right, let's go ahead and go into the rest of these. The Thursday or the Sunday morning game, the one that's going to be in London. You have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You know, it's tough to say because you saw what Tom Brady, you know, after a 3-game losing streak did coming back against the Rams, but, you know, he's done well against the Rams. They're not looking like the same old Rams team of the past. Give me the Seahawks in this one. I think that they are playing really well. I think that Geno Smith is playing really well, and I think the Seahawks team is going to, you know, get to Tom Brady, and that Tariq Woolen is a phenomenal rookie corner and has been lighting it up, guarding a lot of the number 1 wide receivers. Give me the Seahawks in this one.
I don't know what it is about me that thinks this is a trap game for Seattle. I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like you said, the Buccaneers, they stopped a 3-game losing streak. They finally won. You know, the energy in the building is a little different now. I think the Bucs going to London, I think they're going to win it. I don't know why. I just think it's going to be a Bucs win somehow. All right, the Vikings versus the Bills. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now, Chase. I'm going to make this the exception. If Josh Allen plays, I'm picking the Bills. If he doesn't play, I'm picking the Vikings. Is that fair?
Yeah, we can both switch if we feel like, you know, that is necessary. This is the one-off because we don't know the status of Josh Allen. I'm going with the Bills as well for now, but if Josh Allen
doesn't play, then we're taking the Vikings.
Yep, both of us are taking the Vikings.
All right, I can agree with that. All right, the Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears.
Give me the Bears. Justin Fields has been, you know, playing like an animal the past few weeks, and you know it's against a terrible, terrible Lions defense. Yeah. And you know he went toe to toe with the Dolphins last week, barely lost by a field goal. Give me the Bears in this one, 100%.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bears here too. Even though the Lions, I think, will put up some points on that Bears defense. I think that right now the Bears are just playing at a more efficient, probably one of the more efficient offenses they've had in a long time with Justin Fields right now because, you know, they're finally allowing him to use his legs to make plays, and it's really working for them right now. Okay, Jaguars versus the Chiefs.
All the power in me thinks that this is going to be a trap game, but give me the Chiefs.
Don't steal my line.
I really do think so because, like I said that with the Jets last week, I was like, don't be shocked that the Jets win this week, and they did. They beat the Bills. Don't be shocked that the Jags win.
Yeah, but that was different though. The Jets are actually good. That's a difference though. The Jags just aren't good right now. But anyway, I agree with you. Give me the Chiefs here. All right, the Cleveland Browns versus the Miami Dolphins.
Give me the Browns. You know, coming off a bye week and off of a whomping of the Bengals that you just had, if the defense can step up and play just like they did against the Bengals, we have a shot. You know, Denzel Ward is back. Our right guard Wyatt Teller's back. This game is going to be, you know, playoffs on the line for us and a must win for us. Give me the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, with the way that Justin Fields ran up and down the field on the Dolphins, look for Nick Chubb to have a game.
I will take the Miami Dolphins here. I think that the Dolphins offense is just too explosive for your defense to handle in the backfield. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll expect the Dolphins to overload the box this week.
I mean, we did
anticipation
Ward
of
did
hoping
shut
to
down
stop
Tyreek Hill in the playoffs when we played the Chiefs. So Ward's going to be guarding Hill like, stink on shit, and
he ain't gonna stop nothing. Anyway, let's go. Next
we'll see.
Texans versus the Giants.
Give me the Giants, but the Texans put up some points against the Eagles and honestly only lost by 14. So, and that was without Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins. But yeah, give me the Giants in this one. So
yeah, I'll take the Giants here too. Again, the one thing the Texans do worse than anyone else in the league is stop the run. And we got Saquon Barkley back there doing what he's doing. Second best running back in the NFL right now. I mean, no question that it's going to be a long day for them.
And you saw what Derrick Henry did to that Texans team.
100%. I mean, it'd be a tragedy if Barkley does not have at least 100 yards in this game. I mean, it'd be a tragedy. He's going to probably get 100. He's probably going to be close to 200 yards of offense altogether by himself.
Yeah, no, that's going to be like insane to see. Like, obviously, the argument with Derrick Henry still is like, he's the best because he's got more 200-yard games, blah, blah, blah. Those 200-yard games came against the Jags.
They all come against the Texans, bro. They all do. He literally does it at least one time every single year, dude.
Yeah, it's like they come against the Jags and Texans. Like, if he can do that against like the Bills or the freaking like
he's literally been doing it for like the last 3 years, literally at least once. He does it in the Texans stadium too, which is hilarious. I don't know why, but he just loves playing in that domed environment, and it's incredible.
Yeah, talk to me when he can actually put up 100 yards against a good defense. So
well, he does put up 100 yards on good defense. It's just the difference is the 100 yard. How he gets the 100 yards is different. Like when he plays against the Colts defense, the second time around, yeah, he got 100 yards, but he was only averaging about 3.5 yards a carry, right? It's different. What'd you just do?
Nothing, Magnolia.
What did she?
You could hear the audible shit.
Oh my God, Magnolia, dude.
But no, he had 25 yards against the Bills, and then 86 yards against the Saints, and then 86 yards against somebody else. Like, if he plays good defenses, then let me know. I think Barkley, when he plays good defense, he's still putting up the 100 yards. So yeah, look for him to have a 200-yard game against the Texans as well. So
Saints versus the Steelers.
I'm shockingly going with the Steelers. I think with TJ Watt back, that's going to be a big boost and a big impact on the Steelers play. I think that, he's going to be in the backfield getting after Andy Dalton all day long. And, if the Steelers can just manage about 14 points, I think that they're going to win.
Yeah, I'm going with the Steelers here too. Like you said, TJ coming back is going to be a huge boost. Broncos versus the Titans.
Is Tannehill expected to play?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Because that's going to be my deciding factor in this one. If Tannehill's expected to play,
try to figure that out.
Yeah, because if Tannehill's not expected to play, I'm going to go with the Broncos just because I feel like their defense is still good enough to stop the run. So stand by.
Says he's still dealing with pain. They said that neither one of them would commit to him playing, but they did say he is still dealing with some pain.
Okay, I'm going to make this another exception. I'm going to go with the Broncos, but if Tannehill plays, I'm going with the Titans after that. Like I said, I still think this Broncos defense, even without Bradley Chubb, is still good enough to stop the run in Derrick Henry, and the Titans team cannot go anywhere without the run game in Derrick Henry. We've seen it in the past when they've been able to stop him and shut him down. This Titans team does not do good, and with the Broncos secondary getting better each week, you obviously got Surtain, you've got Simmons in the back half, so it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. Give me the Broncos in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing you did. I think it really does matter depending on whether or not Tannehill. Because if Malik Willis is playing, then yeah, they're not going to win this game. But if Tannehill does win, or go in there, I think it does drastically improve their chances. All right. Actually, I'm just gonna rock the horse here. I'm gonna go Broncos. Let's go. All right.
I'm going
Colts,
Broncos.
Colts versus the Raiders.
Can I predict a tie?
Anything goes in here, man. You can always predict a tie.
Oh my
Always
gosh.
do that. Just to keep in mind for the Raiders, Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow are both on IR.
Is Jonathan Taylor playing this week?
He's not been ruled out. So I think he might be. As if that matters, though. It doesn't really matter much because the whole line is crap.
Yeah, but the Raiders don't really have anybody except Max Crosby. I mean, Chandler Jones really hasn't done much.
Chandler
either.
Jones and Max Crosby, they may not be a great run stopping defense, but I mean their bread and butter is getting pressure on the quarterback.
You know what? I'll take Vegas. I'll take Vegas.
Don't take Vegas?
I'll take Vegas. Why not? That was a tough one for me. I had a hard time picking that.
I can't pick the Colts right now, so I'm going with the Raiders too. I hate my life. I really do. The Cowboys versus the Packers.
I'm going with the Cowboys.
She stank up the whole room.
What the hell did you eat?
I don't know. You're the one feeding her.
Jesus.
Or is that your wife feeding her?
Both.
Might have been sneaking in some pieces of meat that shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I'm going with the Cowboys in this one.
Go get some air freshener. Go. Just go.
No, I'm fine. Let's finish this and then we can end it.
I'm going with the boys as well. Cardinals versus the Rams.
Stafford's out. Kyler might be out. So this is going to be a tough one. Give me the Cardinals. Why not?
I'm going to go Rams. Chargers versus the 49ers.
Give me the 49ers. I think, like I said, without Keenan Allen in there, without Mike Williams in there, without Rashawn Slater, Nick Bosa is going to have a field day. Christian McCaffrey is going to run up and down that defense. Give me the 49ers in this one.
I agree with you. All right, Eagles versus the Commies.
Sorry, Commies, I'm not picking you this week. I'm going to go with the Eagles.
All right, yep, doing the same thing. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for these predictions. Thank you all for tuning into the show. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is the Chasing Larger Sports Stories podcast. Have a good rest of your weekend.